everybody, and welcome to Profit Mission Control. This is Matt, and today is Saturday, September 30th, and I wanted to spend some time talk to you about the weekly recap for the week ending September 29th. It's been an exciting week. Actually, I would say it's been an exciting couple of weeks. We had terrific performance on the launch list, as well as a lot of successful intraday alerts, and I just can't wait to talk about all of that stuff. I'm going to try, promise, to publish a video at least once weekly to cover all the trades that we go through during the prior week. Talk about the analysis, a little bit of some of the stocks, maybe share with you a piece of nugget or knowledge nugget that I might have picked up. And as you know, I'm continuously learning. To me, trading is a learning process, and that will never end. So, and I would advise everyone who is interested in trading to always ask themselves at the end of the day, what have they learned new? So what kind of either piece of information, acronym, chart analysis technique, whatever the case may be, what have you learned today that has made you a slightly better or more educated investor or trader? So I'd like to hopefully deliberately in the future put pieces of nuggets in my videos to talk about some of the things that I learned over time. But without further ado, let's go through the recap. Last week's video was a little bit too long. I agree, it was about an hour and 12 minutes. I don't intend to go an hour and 12 minutes, so I'm going to be trying to talk fast. I'm going to try to cover so much material, and I hope you can stay with me. If you like this video or any of my other videos, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. That only motivates me to publish more content here. The more people that interact with me, the more people that show interest, the more motivated I become to publish new content, okay? So let's talk about this week. Well, this week was being interesting because we have again hit historic highs on the market. Let's start with the SPY. SPY, last 3 trading sessions, pushing against all-time highs, finishing Friday at 251 level, which is an all-time high. This has never happened in the past, and it actually did it on pretty sizable volume. Now, it's not crazy volume, but it's above average volume. If you look at that blue line, that's kind of a 20-day moving average, and as long as we have increased volume above that moving average, that means there's significant volume, people coming in, stepping in, and buying. Now, is this going to last? I don't know, but we're certainly in an uptrend. We certainly broke this resistance level that was stuck at 250.39, and we staged sort of a mini cup without a handle. So maybe the handle is coming after another major cup with a handle over here. There's a gap here. History tells us that this gap probably will be filled maybe a week from now, maybe a month from now, maybe 10 months from now. The point is that we have a gap here that potentially might be filled in some time in the future, so just be aware of that. The other good thing about the SPY chart is looking at the distribution days. So prior to, let's say, last month, well, let's say the whole summer, basically June through mid-September timeframe, we had so many distribution days, and these were days where the S&P 500 dropped more than half a point. Like I guess the SPY, the S&P 500, you multiply this by 10, but the SPY, if it drops more than 0.39%, I guess that's the technical term for a distribution day on above average volume, that's considered a distribution day. Now, 6 or 7 of those distribution days is indicating that large investors, fund managers, are dumping shares into the market. They're selling their position, downsizing their positions, which is not a good thing. Every major market correction in the history was preceded by a series of 6 to 7 distribution days. Now, how can a distribution day fall off? Well, it can fall off if, number one, you have a major increase in one of the indices by more than, I believe it's 5%. which represents about 15 points on the SPY. So the day you see the SPY, moving 15 points in one day, that tells you that is not everything that's preceded that in terms of distribution day is kind of wiped out. The other way a distribution day would drop off, and I know, is by 25 days preceding. So I put this white line here represent the last 25 sessions, and if you look over the last 25 sessions, we really had only one distribution day, which was here on September 5th, and that one dropped, the index dropped by more than half a point here on this scale, on the SPY scale, which represents about 50 points on the S&P 500. So we're actually in good shape. Now, if you start seeing a lot of these red days popping up in the next 30, 40 days, then just be aware of that. So that's the SPY. The other thing I want to talk about is the IWM, which is the ETF that tracks the Russell 2000 small cap stocks, and that one is really basically the lower 2000 companies in the 3000 Russell index that have a market cap somewhere in the average of 1.3 billion or lower. So that actually ETF has been trying for a long time to kind of break its resistance. It staged multiple ups and downs and ups and downs and ups, and it was kind of in this, if you can imagine, there's a channel almost moving sideways. Then we had a sort of fairly significant correction, but then look what happened after that. We actually have recovered and broke through this resistance, and not just broke, we broke with thunder. So we have huge gap up day, large volume. Look at this volume. Hasn't been similar since all the way down here, probably in November of 2016. So what does that indicate? Well, it indicates there's a lot of buyers are stepping in to buy these small, cheap, low cap stocks. That's another potential indicator that the market might be looking for a top and taking a breather. Doesn't mean that's going to happen, just to be aware of that. From all the experts that talk out there, all the historical data shows that when people start piling into these stocks, we're looking at potential top in the market. But for the time being, you can enjoy that. Usually the fall through winter are the months where a lot of the fund managers want to pretty their books, and there's a lot of activity, a lot of momentum, a lot of volume pouring into the market. So the other thing to note is over the last 10 days, I put together a quick scanner through Trade Ideas, and I found basically the scanner is looking for stocks that went up 40% or more in the last 10 trading sessions, or since the last 10 trading sessions. And you can see this has been riddled with stocks and things like HMNY. Look at that crazy move. Went up 380% in a matter of 5 or 6 sessions. IZEA, same thing, up 288% over the last few sessions. ITUS up 260% over the last few sessions. We haven't, when I go back and look at the scanner maybe 10-15 days ago, we hardly had any kind of these moves before. So if that means anything, it means that the small caps, medium caps are in play. You have to play them obviously conservatively and use the risk management, but they could potentially be big winners, and there could be a lot of potential opportunities that show up over the next few weeks. So keep an eye on that. All right, let's go and talk about the recap. So we had a fantastic week that ended on the 29th. Looking at the launch list, so these were all stocks that were either on the launch list from last week or the week prior to that, and we've had about a total of 17 launches. 13 of them were successful, profitable, and we had 4 losers. I'm 100% sure, I'll say 90% sure that I was actually intentionally trying to alert everybody on stock tweets every time I took one of these launches and every time I exited one of these launches, whether it was a winner or a loser. in addition to a lot of the intraday alerts. So if we have time, I might go over some of those alerts. But overall, it has been a very, very strong week, much improved compared to the week prior. We had a total profit of $5.31 on a profit per share basis. Highest profit on the trade was $1.10 on HOG Harley Davidson, which was actually in flight from last Friday, if you remember. All these other sort of larger cap stocks, NBL, SLCA, SEMG, Kirra, CTB, very, very strong winners. Fantastic winners. Accuracy up to 76%. So we've had a very good week in terms of accuracy. Profit to risk plan, 152%. Profit to loss actual, 149%. Very, very close. The longest we've had to stay in a stock was about 5 sessions. Well, technically, including the weekend, it becomes 3 sessions. Maybe this one was a little bit longer. 5 sessions on the 22nd to. You take out the weekends, it makes it shorter. And then we've had an average profit per trade of 2.9%. So let's take a look at some of these. I'm not going to go through all of them, I promise, but let's look at HOG, for example. HOG, Harley Davidson, was in flight last week. Pretty straightforward formation. There was a small inner cup within this larger cup and handle uptrending. The idea was to break this resistance, give us a potential profit window within this candle. And it broke on Friday of, is that right? I can't remember if it broke on Monday and then we took profits on Wednesday. I know we held it for multiple days, but once it broke that level, slight correction, almost went out, but held above the abort price. And then the following day in the morning, as soon as it opened, it ripped higher. I took profit at $50.25, and then it corrected from there. Now, on the big picture, it looks like it might be forming a handle now after breaking through this level, but it has a 100-day moving average to challenge, and then the 200-day moving average. It's also a little bit whippy, so don't hold your breath. We've took our trade, made profit. We move on to the next one. NBL. NBL was a perfect formation. Uptrending, non-stop, broke all multiple moving averages, and then it came on our radar list here. Why? Because it was staging a consolidation after a sort of a nice move upward. Consolidated for 2 days, and we said if it broke this level here, we have a window up to this candle. That was what I wanted to do, and I took the profit actually a little bit higher at $27.80 right here. But then look, had I held to it, we would have gotten a little bit more, about almost a full point after that. But a win is a win, so I'm happy. The trade actually worked the way it was supposed to do, and it was fantastic. SLCA, another potential strong mover. That one we took the trade on Monday. Sorry, on the 26th. The day it went on the list, zipped through the high, never looked back, took our profit that day to 70 cents. Just a very quick move and locked in the profit. SEMG, same story there. Came on the profit or the launch list actually on the 15th. So that one, the intention was to break this resistance level. It didn't. Corrected, which is fine. It still remained on our launch list, and then on the 25th, it gapped from this level here, but it gave us the opportunity to enter. Took us all the way through the profit target, which was prior resistance all the way back here, and then it even broke that and continued. I took profit on this one at $28.80, somewhere around this level here. Looks good. I think the next area that it will be challenged is somewhere over this region here, $29, $29.10 probably. If it breaks $29.10 with confidence, you're playing in this candle here. So pick your bets somewhere between, I guess this is a larger cap stock. I would say probably 3% would be good. Take your profit and move out from there. Kirra, which was on Friday, and That one came on the list on Friday. It launched on Friday. We got the profit on Friday. Now, let me spend just a little bit more time on this one because I got this question about when did I actually take the trade. This trade gapped up in the morning, right? It fired up in the morning. It actually opened above the launch price. When that happens, I don't take the trade unless it happens, unless there's some buildup pre-market. So if there's news and I see buildup pre-market where the price action is going to give me an entry at the launch price, I take it. This one, in this case, never gave a launch price pre-market. It opened up at a price above the launch price and then gave it all back, started trending sideways, and then I said, okay, now I have an entry point where I want it to be. As soon as it breaks that, I'm in. And that's exactly what I did. It broke this level here, took probably 15 minutes, bam, got our profit target. Could have held on to it a little bit more and, you know, squeezed a few, probably another 40 cents. But again, this was 15 minutes and you get your profit and you're out. You can't work better than that. CTV. That one came on our list on the 26th also and launched on the 26th, and we took the profit on the 26th. So let me make sure I'm saying that correctly. Yep, 26, launched on the 26th, took profit on the 26th, which is right here. So at open here, broke the launch price, went long, took it all the way to our profit target. I think on this one I wasn't greedy. I took it at took profit at 36.95, so somewhere over here, a little bit above the actual profit target, which was down here somewhere. I think that's the correct level, but I took it out actually over there. Had I held on to it, obviously without aborting, it would have continued to go higher. We could have made another good $1 on that one. Let me go back to the daily chart so I don't make a lot of but look how much potential profit. Now it's challenging. The 200-day moving average broke down from there. It doesn't mean it's done. It's in a gap area. I think this looks very healthy. Keep it on your radar if you're interested. It might break the 38.05 kind of level and give you a nice move all the way to this bottom, 38.94. So almost a full dollar move there. I would say this is definitely a good setup to consider. ACRX, that one is sort of that's a smaller cap stock, but again, major move. The idea again to break this resistance level over here after staging this move, came on our radar, put as a launch target there. Opened here, blasted through the launch all the way to profit of $4.50. So this one I wasn't as greedy. I think I took profit right here, $4.50. Had more potential obviously to squeeze a little bit more had I held on to it, but again, a win and a win. That's what we want. That's the name of the game. SHLO, beautiful move again. When did it come on the list? Right here on the 22nd, based on the action here. Clear resistance level to break with an opportunity to go through the scandal. Well, what did happen? Next day, it broke through that level. It opened here, right? Broke through that level, moved all the way up. We took profit on this one at $10.10, and then it gave it all back. So would have probably aborted, and then it still recovered and continued to go higher. So if you are long that stock or continue to hold on to it, close this window here and even punching through this resistance level. We just love to find these great setups, and the one thing that helps me is Trade Ideas. Trade Ideas software is my transformer. It changed the way I trade, and I just love it. I don't know why I keep selling it to you guys, but ARDM, look at this. That one was a parabolic move. it provided an opportunity here again on the 29th. And I don't know why I kept saying the 26th is Friday, so I apologize for that. But the 29th was Friday. I got my days mixed up. But anyway, it went on our radar for this day. The idea was to break this level here with conviction and then take it through this profit window because we're in a gap. We're in the middle of a gap. And look at the 5 minutes. Look what it did on the 5 minutes. I mean, the setup is just can't be more clear than that. Moved up higher, broke through our launch list, never came back below it. Moved bam, 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 bam within 20, what about, I don't know, looks like 50 minutes, an hour maybe. We got our profit at which one is this? $4.65. That's where we took the profit right there. All right. CSV. I think I'm gonna. I mean, enough talk about the winners. We had so many winners. There was one thing I wanted to talk about, and it might be SRAX because that one, if you look on the daily, you're not gonna see this very clearly. But this stock actually, sorry, trying to multitask. All right, so if I go on the daily chart for this one, you might say, well, how did we make profit on this one, right? This one came on our radar on the 26th. It launched on the 26th, and we took the profit on the 26th. Well, there was after market activity on this one, and that's why I put it on the list for this day. So let's go back to the 5 minute and I'll show you what happened. So on the 5 minute chart, you can actually see that the whole trade was done pre-market. And I think I noted that on StockTwits. You can go back, look at the logs. But pre-market, so after market here, the idea was to break this level and then give us a window all the way to here based on the prior resistance on the left. Pre-market blasted through that. Within 15 minutes, the trade was done. Took profit on that one at $2.89, so somewhere in this area here. So I could have held longer, you know, but I took the profit pre-market, and then when the market opened, it never actually gave us another opportunity. So that was a success. Now, had you waited a few days later, basically on Friday, the same move occurred. Now it broke through the actual launch price, made it all the way through the profit target, pulled down again. I think this is also after hours on Friday. So it is trending, I think, on StockTwits, so keep it on your radar for Monday, and it might actually make it again to our launch list for Monday. But that's kind of wanted to explain why if you look at the daily chart, you won't see the trade, but you have to look at the pre-market. So let's look at a couple of the losers. One of them, let me double check. I'm going to go through all of them quickly without talking too much about them. Just want to see if there's one where we might have taken a loser, but it turned out to be a winner. So the first one is PE, and that one I think I held on to like 5 sessions, but then ended up having to exit. So the question is why I didn't take profit on this stock. Launched on the 22nd, 26.75 right here. Let's see here, go to 5 minutes. Oops. This one we had to abort for some reason. I can't remember why. All right, so I think I didn't take profit and I ended up losing. So yeah, this one was launched on the 22nd at $26.75. So we entered here on the 22nd, held on to it, could have taken profit slightly below the profit target, which was 27.30, and it made it to 27.20, held on to it. Pre-market actually hit the 27.30. I guess I wasn't paying attention to it, but then unfortunately I kept holding on to it until I had to abort on the 27th. So that one that one was a very close winner that turned out into a loser. I can't explain it other than the fact that there were so many probably other trades that I was managing at the same time, and ended up with an unfortunate loss, which is not something I like to do. But REPH was another loser, triggered I believe on this day, and then quickly reversed and had to exit. That was on the 26th. TripAdvisor was another one, was a kind of disappointment because that one held on for 4 days and ended up gapping down. Oh, I do want to talk about this one a little bit. So this one actually, I exited pre-market because there was so this launched here right on the 21st. Took the trade, held on to it 2 or 3 sessions, I guess 3 sessions because this was on Friday. Yeah, that was last week. And then Monday it opened. So Thursday, Friday held on to that, and on Monday it opened with a gap down. Now I put a limit order at the abort price because when stocks gap down or gap up, there's always a reversal, right? So for example, if you want to short a stock, you never short it at the open. You have to wait till it recovers a little bit and then turns back to the downside. So this was gap down. Most likely there was going to be a reversal. That's why I put a limit order at the abort price, and luckily it executed. So I ended up with a loser, but I lost at the abort price versus losing or aborting, almost a full 2 points later, which would have been kind of disastrous, but not, well, I would have lost a good chunk amount of money on this one, but luckily the abort at the limit price was achieved. All right, let's move on. So these are all the stocks that were created over this week. I want to talk about some other statistics. In terms of portfolio growth, we added $13,000 this week to a total of $363,000, which is representing a portfolio growth of 1,300%. You can see this week just a little extra blip there. Something is going to have to change between now and the end of the year. I'm not going to continue to do this. I'm going to try and participate in 1 or 2 challenges. One, either starting with a small account and growing that again. And there's also this funded account program that I'm looking into, where you only put a very, very small amount of money, but you get leverage, 14 times leverage type. But the profits are not yours until you bring the total account to the level that you want. Anyway, we're going to talk about that later. I want to focus on this to get out of the way, and then talk about challenges in a future video. And I'd like to hear from you if you're interested or not. So performance card is updated. 527 launches to date. The overall accuracy has a slight bump into it because of this week being a good week, above average. So we are 63.8% winning rate. The total dollars or profit per share to date is 135.20. So you multiply that by the number of shares you would typically trade to get you the total profit for the year. Overall profit to loss ratio, 271%. So here's why I want to pause. I had mentioned something on StockTwits that there was a wrong calculation in the profit to loss ratio. I take that back. The profit to loss ratio calculation is correct. I think what I was mixing up was the profit factor and the profit to loss ratio. So they're 2 different things. And I want to talk about that a little bit more. So I put a few slides kind of to go over it a little bit so that it's clear to everybody. There are 3 terms, sort of metrics that you can use to track your performance. Now there's a total of 5 or 6, or depending on how crazy you want to get. But the 3 that I want to make clear distinction between, because I use them kind of interchangeably and they're not supposed to be. So the profit, and I get a lot of questions about that. What does that profit to risk ratio mean? So I want to talk about the profit to risk ratio, the profit to loss ratio, and the profit factor. And there are three different things. When you're talking about planning a setup to enter a trade, that's where we talk about profit to risk, because you don't know how that trade is going to go yet, right? So you're looking at what is your estimated profit, you're looking at what your estimated loss or maximum allowable loss, and then you're dividing those two together to get you the profit to loss ratio. So for example here, again, I meant the profit to risk ratio. So most of my calls on the launch list, for example, I would enter like SHLO, for example. Here's this one from last week. This one I said my target profit is 30 cents. My maximum allowable loss is 27% or 27 cents. So it's as simple as saying, okay, the profit is the exit price. So when I plan to exit versus when I plan to enter. The risk is the allowable loss. So that is the difference between my entry price and my loss price, which would be, in this case, 27 cents. You divide those two together, gives you the profit to risk ratio. Keep in mind, this is always in the planning stage. This is when you're planning for a trade. You are thinking to yourself, what's my maximum profit? What's my maximum allowable loss? You don't know how the trade is going to turn, but that's what you're actually banking. So that's why they call it the profit to risk ratio, because you are taking a risk. You don't know what is going to happen yet. Now we compare that to the profit to loss ratio. So profit to loss ratio, well, let me step one back, just go back a step further. This is a profit to risk ratio on a single trade, right? So when I put a summary, for example, for the whole week, let's say this is a list of stocks that I'm watching for the whole week, and I want to know on average what is my profit to risk ratio. Again, this is still before the fact, before I actually take the trades. So for every stock, it has its entry and exit and abort prices, and I have a profit to risk ratio. So simply saying that my weekly profit to risk ratio is nothing more than the average of all of these ratios. So it's basically the sum of these divided by the total number of trades that I plan to take for that week, for example. Usually on a daily launch list, you'll see 6 to 7 to 10 stocks. If you average the profit to risk ratio there, it gives you kind of an idea of overall, I'm never falling below 100%. I try to strive to 150 or higher, but again, 100, between 100 and 150 is still acceptable, as long as you keep on top of the game. So the point I'm trying to make is that when I say the average weekly profit to risk or planned profit to risk, it's just an average of these. Now going to the profit to loss ratio and then the profit factor. So these are the two other terms I want to distinguish. Profit to loss ratio is something that is after the fact. It's after you've taken the trade and after you made your profit or made your loss. You're going to look at and see how many of my trades, how many trades were winners, how many trades were losers, what's the total profit within these trades. So I'm looking at all the total profit of my winning trades, dividing that by the number of winning trades, and then dividing this entire number by another term, which is the total loss of only the stocks that were losers divided by the total number of losing trades. So it's basically an average profit in respect to the profit, the stocks that I gained profit on, divided by the average loss of the stocks that I lost on. All right. So it's different than the profit to risk ratio, which again is prior to the fact. The profit to risk ratio is something where you take what you expect to make versus what you expect to lose, and get an idea of how much how attractive the trade is. This one is after the fact. Okay, repeat myself. But now here comes the profit factor. Now, as the profit to risk ratio is an average of winnings versus the average of loss, the profit factor is actually a ratio of your gross profit divided by your gross loss. So it's in fact a summary of all the loss and wins. So let's take an example. So this is this week's example, right? So what I want to find out, what's the profit to loss ratio after the fact? We've had total 17 stocks, 13 were winners, 4 were losers. So what's the total profit on these? I add up all these in green numbers, all the winnings. That's $6.69 divided by 13, which are the number of stocks that were winners, over the total of the loss, which is $1.38. So if you add up all these 4 losers, it comes out to $1.38. You divide it by number 4, which is the total number of stocks that were losers. That gives me, 51 cents, my average winner, versus 34 cents, my average loser, which is a ratio of 149%. So what this is saying is that over this week, one way to analyze it is saying that my average winner was 1.5 times higher than my average loser. All right. Now, let's look at the profit factor. The profit factor is taking, again, the total winnings and just dividing it by the total loss. So you're not taking into consideration now how many trades were profitable or losers, and that gives you 485%. And that was what I was referring to in StockTwits. I was just saying that I was calling a profit factor the profit to loss ratio incorrectly. And I knew it in my head, I just talked about it a lot incorrectly. So what that means is that overall, for the week, for example, or if you could look back for the entire year, it's just saying that my cumulative win versus my cumulative loss is a ratio of 485%. All right, that was kind of my knowledge nugget for today. Hopefully you followed it. Hopefully it made sense to you. Hopefully you can use it as you see appropriate for your own performance tracking. Back to my original or my typical statistics. So again, a blip up here on the profit taking from a weekly perspective. So this week, like I mentioned, it was 76%. So last 3 weeks have been continuously going up, which is a good sign. Obviously the market is helping, which I'm not going to complain. And then on the weekly average profit, again, also we had an uptick on the chart. So this week we locked in about 2.9% on average per trade. Profit to risk management. So back to the discussion we just had. Remember, the profit to risk ratio is what I plan to do. The profit to loss ratio is after the fact. So let's look at the whole year for now. Year to date, average profit to loss ratio dropped a little bit. Last week was 276, I believe. This week is 271. The accuracy bumped up a little bit to 63.8. I think it was 63.2, which puts us well within this green zone. Our plan for this week to be at 152% profit to risk ratio. We actually ended up at 149%, which I just showed you. The accuracy was way higher compared to last week. We're at 76% compared to 64, I think, was last week, which puts us well within this profit zone. All right, what stocks that are currently in flight? So we got 3 of them, and we're going to take a look at the charts. The first one is QTWO. That one is another controversial stock from a sense because it is very low float, very, very low volume, and I kind of warned about that. But it was actually giving us a very interesting setup. So this one has this area here, a break. Now, it could be a false break. It might have entered prematurely, but the idea there was to break this consolidation area and punch higher. The next level of resistance, if you go back all the way back, this might be actually an all-time high. Yep, it sure is. So that's why it was attractive, because once it breaks this resistance, the sky is the limit. Now it's a very, very, first of all, it's a nickel spreader. So although the entry says 41.78, I actually entered 41.80. Plan to take profit at 42.50 and abort at 41.50. Now, it did touch 41.50, and actually it touched a little bit below that. Now, initially, it's 41.80.48 was my abort price. But like I said, I entered over here, 41.80. It came all the way down to 41.43. Now, here's the story. Because it's a nickel spreader, the actual spreads on this was pretty high. So I put a limit order actually to exit at the abort, but then the spreads were such in a way that the bid was at this 41.40 level, I believe, or 41. I don't think it actually made it to 41. The lowest bid I saw was 41.45, but I could have blinked when I could have been distracted with something else. The point is that the ask was at 41.60 and the bid was at 41.45. So there was like a 10 to 15 cent spread. And I wasn't going to just dump it at 41.45, knowing that it's a very low float and very low volume, and the fact that there was hardly anybody even trading it. So I held on to it, never executed the abort, recovered, and continue to hold on to it. So the goal there is to break again, hopefully the 41.80, and then punch through 42.50. All right. So that's the one in flight. The next two are kind of really starting to annoy me. FIT. The plan there was to launch about 692, take profit 735. We made it all the way to 710. So this launched on the 27th. Came very close, and I was I almost considered taking profit there, but then I decided not to. Held on to it, corrected a little bit, still above our abort price, trended sideways over the last two sessions, and it's kind of still hovering around the $7 area. So we'll see what next week brings. The volume looks healthy, especially towards close. I noticed that it recovered very very quickly. So still on our launch list. The goal there is to get $7.35, and the abort will be at $6.70 right here. And if you want to look at the chart pattern overall on a daily basis, this is why it was attractive. It's been beaten down for a long time. There's a gap here. It's in the middle of that gap, I believe, and we have an opportunity, nice 30 cents more to go, all above all the daily moving averages. HPE, $14.85, launched here on the 26th, which is the day that it came on the launch list. Kind of two big wicks, never fall below the abort price, but came close, and it's kind of, so we're still kind of in the red in this trade, but looking forward to it hopefully recovering next week. So this might be just a case of a cup and a handle and then a breakout. So we're still in this trade. We'll look forward to it on Monday. Right. Next are the stocks that are waiting for launch. I eliminated a lot of stocks from this list. A few that were kind of laggard or broke down. Technical formation is no longer valid, so I took them out. Most of these you're going to see are fresh from the 29th. So these were all from Friday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, almost 8 or 9 tickers are from Friday's launch list. The oldest launch list we have left, or ticker, was from the August 25th ACIA. And the ones I talked about last week, I believe all of these. So we can go through only the ones that are recent. So let's go through Halliburton first, HAL. Go to chart. Okay, so Halliburton is on our radar because of this significant uptrend and the fact that it's coming against this resistance here. And that's where we want it to break. If it breaks, we were playing with this red candle here, some reasonable profit window there, looking at a target of entry 46.26 with a target at 47, exit at 47 right here, right below the 200-day moving average. I think it has a good chance of doing that. unless, you know, it fails miserably breaking this level. So, you know, if it breaks it and you think the momentum is not there, take your profit early, wait till it corrects, and then it will eventually break. Oil stocks are trying to recover. Next one is QDEL. Again, same pattern here. It's kind of forming a handle out of this uptrend, gapped up several days, filled this gap, went back up. Looks pretty good, at least through testing this resistance again. So 44.75 will be the entry, and an exit profit target at 45.50. Like the volume, like the technical formation, uptrending, and this stock, I'm not sure how back the history goes, but those resistance are, you know, way back to 2014 level, prior to 2014 level. So it should be a good one. Just be aware of the gaps. Well, it has a history of gapping up, maybe a case of gapping down. So just be wary of this one. I think it's also a thinly traded stock. ATKR. Again, beautiful formation within the gap. Still have, you know, maybe another point. Idea there was to break this consolidation. So it consolidated for the third day. It potentially can consolidate for a few more days, but once it breaks this level, which should happen relatively soon, because if it waits too long, then we're going to have the 100-day moving average kind of piercing through this window, profit window, which would make this trade a little bit less attractive. So, you know, if it happens the next session or two where we break this resistance level, we have a good chance of hitting the 2025, unless things stall. ZAGG, another stock where it appeared like it triggered on Friday, but I didn't take the trade. Just never got a fill actually at the entry price. So it did hit the price, and you know, in hindsight, the entry should have been made a little bit above here. I would say 16. I put the entry price as 16.05 based on the intraday move the day before, because it looked like that might be a good level, you know, kind of an early level to enter right here. That's why I put it, because I thought of this resistance. You know, it failed to break this resistance intraday on the 28th. That's why I planned it for the 29th to break that, because if it broke that, you know, it was probably going to push, but it never did. So I mean, it was the right resistance level. It did touch it, but I didn't make a trade in it yet, so it still waits to be traded. APVO, that one was kind of a speculative type of stock based on the move pre-market on the after close of session on the 29th. After market, there was some news about, you know, financing or credit negotiation, which seemed to find a lot of buyers. Market makers took advantage of some buyers, bought it all the way to 88, came crashing down, and then moved sideways. So the idea was, if it breaks this level here, you know, around the $2.50, 52, kind of a $0.50 area, with enough momentum, you know, we're seeing all these small caps and mid-cap stocks making huge moves. There was the idea was that it could potentially break 252 level, maybe try to test the 272. It didn't happen. I think this trade is still valid. Just this stock typically trades very low volume, except for occasional spikes here and there. So if it fades to, you know, Monday, Tuesday, then probably it's going to fade for a while, unless they come out with other news. But the setup is still valid, so that's why I still keep it on the launch list. The next one is WEEB. I'm not sure why I'm showing you the 5-minute charts, but maybe one day will be better for this one. So WEEB moving uptrend came up on our scanners. Looks like it tried to stage a breakout here that failed, pulled back, and it looks like, you know, 2 or 3 days of uptrending. So if it breaks this level here, which was this resistance, the idea was to play within this profit zone. looks like a potential good 45 cents, which is all I'm looking for. May or may not work, but all the indicators are good, above all the daily moving averages, and testing prior resistance. PGTI, that one is another good setup. There we go. Nice cup handle, not nice cup without a handle. 3 very strong days. Idea was to break the top of this, I think, due to prior resistance on the left here. So I have to go back way back here. It's this zone here. So there's a big red candle that could give us a window of profit. Again, looking for about 40 cents in this one. Seems doable. Volume has been picking up. All the, clearing all the daily moving averages. Now, if you haven't noticed, I'll let you, spell it out. All the stocks that I pick for my launch list, I pick for a reason, because they come from specific scanners that I set up through Trade Ideas. That's why they all have the same characteristics. They're uptrending. Most of them have broken prior daily averages and look like they're coming close to breaking a resistance. So they have the momentum, they have the volume. That's why all my picks look the same, because I'm looking for the same things. And then lastly is CATV. Again, that one is kind of heating up a little bit. Has a huge gap here. It tried to stage a comeback that got knocked down. Traded sideways, was almost dead for a long time. Then it broke, trend upwards, broke the 200-day moving average, which was the most attractive thing for me, with significant volume. Everybody's got their eyes on this stock. I think it does offer an opportunity within this window here. If we break the 232 level right here, if you break the 232 level, why is the 232, for example, and not the 226? I want to break with conviction. I don't want it to just tease us, go break the 225 and then come back. Which had I chosen that, I would have, entered based on, if I had chosen this resistance level, I would have entered and, came close to a board. But I'm waiting for the 232. Hopefully it makes all the way to the 271. All right, that's all we got on the launch list. 2 timely announcements I want to make before I close down this video. And again, guess what? They're on Trade Ideas tomorrow. So let's go back here. Tomorrow, there is a summit in Carlsbad, California. Trade Ideas hosting a very, very interesting session. It's absolutely free. You can go to that summit online, and you have to register first to be able to get the link to actually attend the live stream. This is an opportunity to learn about how people are using Trade Ideas to be successful in their trading career, how the industry is changing, how the artificial intelligence within Trade Ideas is going to change the way the average retail investor like myself trades. And if I had time, I would talk about it, but I don't have time. Holly, last few sessions, has been insane. She has been spitting out a lot of winning trades with significant, 50 to $1 type move profits. So how do you get to there? Before the end of tonight, make sure you go click on this link. If you're too lazy to write this whole down, well, I realize that it's wrong, but at least there's 2 HTTP. This part, if you're too lazy to type it in, then just go to my website, profitmissioncontrol.com, and you will find right there an ad you can click on. It will take you there. You don't have to type in the link. It will basically take you to the registration. You go here, maybe watch this video, but then you just click on this to register for the live stream. The live stream is free. You'll get an email with instructions on how to attend it. And I hope you all make it. I'm personally going to be spending the time tomorrow to attend it. So this is West Coast time or Pacific Coast time, depending on where you live. Adjust the time accordingly. All right. So that was my first announcement. My second announcement is the promo code. So Trade Ideas is also offering 15% off your first monthly or first annual, whether it's premium or standard subscription. All you have to do is go and type in this code, all caps letters, Holly Studio. You'll get a 15% discount. I realize that all these links are kind of hard to type in. I made it easy for you also if you go to the website, profitmissioncontrol.com. Right here, new menu link there. It says Trade Ideas. Click on that. Over here, you'll see a kind of description of the two different packages, the standard versus the premium, which one it offers, and then all my links are right here. So if you click on any of these links and you end up subscribing to Trade Ideas, you support my channel and you support my website and the time that I spend reviewing, searching, talking about the stocks that I find. I find them through Trade Ideas. So this is a perfect tool to have in your bag of tools to be a profitable trader. There's the code, Holly Studio. You simply click on any of these links. It will bring you the order page. You type in the code Holly Trades with an S and you hit apply. It will give you a discount right away for that product, whatever product you decide to choose. All right, that was my marketing speech for today, and as always, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Please support my channel. Like it on, just give it thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel if you find this content to be useful. Follow me on all of these social medias. I hope you guys have a terrific weekend. I'll see you next week.